Good evening, everyone, and blessed be. Welcome back to Readings at the Witching Hour. I am your host, Aries StarWind, and this is A Witches Connected. We are continuing to Chapter 2 of our book that we're reading. It is Wiccan Beliefs and Practices, with Rituals for Solitaries and Covens. This book is by author Gary Cantrell, and I'm excited to get back into it. We had a fun time with our top 5 movie picks. And like I said, I'm excited to get back into some reading, into some literature. So we're going to get right into it. Chapter 2 is The Ethics of Wicca. Alright, so let's get started. Wicca is beyond question a duly recognized religion under First Amendment protection of the United States Constitution as defined by federal law Detmer v. Landing, and as upheld by the United States Congress with the repeal of the Helms Amendment. Wicca has been identified as an acceptable religion for members of the U.S. Armed Forces, and our basic beliefs are explained in the United States Military Chaplain's Manual. Many details regarding the Detmer v. Landing legal issues and the Helms Amendment are presented in Chapter 8. Wicca is thus an identifiable and recognized religion by any test one can apply to that terminology. As in most religions, Wicca has a concept of ethics, that code of behavior that is defined by the American Heritage Dictionary as a branch of philosophy that attempts to help us understand which ways of life are worth following and which actions are right or wrong. The word ethics is described by the concise Columbia Encyclopedia as the study of the general nature of morals and of the specific moral choices to be made by a person, or the moral philosophy, rules, or standards governing the conduct of a person or the members of a profession. The word ethics can also be described in a bit more detail as the study and evaluation of human conduct in the light of moral principles, something that may be viewed as an individual's or group's standard of conduct, or as a body of social obligations and duties. These obligations and duties constitute what we sometimes call our conscious or moral awareness of right and wrong, that innate set the innate set or sense of values that are derived from individual experience or group teachings. Idealists such as Plato have contended that there is an absolute good to which human activities aspire. That absolute good, sometimes referred to as an ethical criterion, can be based on religious absolutes, or it can be independent of theological consideration and based solely on accepted social standards. The source of an ethical criterion can therefore be equated with religion, the state, or the good of a group as the group defines it. Given these definitions and explanations of the word ethics, we can look at our religion and make the categorical statement that as practitioners of Wicca, we do indeed have a set of moral and spiritual values that precisely fit those definitions. We have a standard of ethics that governs our lives as witches, both inside and outside of the coven environment. I, speaking from the author, I briefly mentioned the subject of ethics in Chapter 1, but it is a concept at the heart of our Wiccan belief system, and I feel deeply that it is something that deserves considerable discussion. There is an excellent book by Robin Wood on the ethics of our religion titled When, Why, If. While it is not my intention to quote liberally from the particular work or paraphrase it in this chapter, I will be discussing the ethics of the craft from my own perspective and training. In any event, I strongly recommend When, Why, If as a mandatory reading for any novice or seeker. The ethics of our religion are aptly incorporated into the Wiccan law, also known as the Wiccan ethic, as both the Wiccan Rede and the Rule of Three, which is also sometimes referred to as the Threefold Law. This rendition of the Wiccan law, as I show in here, is a considerably truncated form from the two much longer versions that are presented in Appendix A. The factual origins of the two versions in Appendix A are uncertain to me, but both conceivably date from the early 20th century. Nonetheless, these words still form the cornerstone of Wiccan ethics. Bide the Wiccan law ye must, in perfect love and perfect trust. These 8 words the Wiccan Rede fulfill, and ye harm none, do as ye will. And ever mind the rule of 3, what ye sends out comes back to thee. Follow this with mind and heart, and marry ye meet, man marry ye part. While there is little concrete evidence to suggest that the Wiccan law is of any great antiquity, there is some indication that it may have had its actual beginning in Book 1 of Gargantua and Pantagruel, written in 1532 by the French physician and humanist François Rabelais. In this book, Rabelais describes the laws that govern the manner of living of the Thelemites. Whether Rabelais' words actually inspired Crowley or Gardner, or any of those who precede them, is a matter of conjecture. In any event, these 8 lines of the Wiccan law might be interpreted as the linchpin of the Wiccan religion and are what I consider to be the basic building blocks of ethical witchcraft. Now, I suppose there are people who will read the last sentence and see an oxymoron, because they cannot understand that the practice of witchcraft can be ethical and utilize only rituals and magic aimed at positive changes. But that is truly the basis of our religion. We seek to harm none, including ourselves, and we seek never to attempt to make changes that could harm others in any way. Our understanding of the Wiccan law and the oath we take at our initiation expressly forbid us from doing anything else. This is one place where Wicca and some other pagan religions can differ as to interpretation and application. I do not claim that all Wiccan ritual magic adheres to the concepts of the Wiccan law, only that we who follow the practice Wicca take every action within our own power to do so. Wiccans take full responsibility for their actions. We are fully aware that we and we alone are responsible for any and all ramifications resulting from our magical acts. This concept is part of what we are and what we do, and it is what sets us somewhat apart from some of the other more aggressive or volatile pagan religions. Wicca is not above or better than any of the other pagan religions by any means, just simply different. We who follow the Wiccan path know and fully understand that the Wiccan law is not a commandment, nor is it a law in any legal sense. It is a law in the ethical sense, a guideline for our actions. While it may not be ancient and venerated, it still is the ethical guideline by which our practice of magic is driven. If we can somehow incorporate its tenets into our daily non-craft lives as well, then so much the better. As a guide, it may be followed more resolutely by some than others, and when all is said and done, the concept of harm none, as embodied in the Wiccan Rede, will probably always be up to the interpretation and understanding of the practitioner. Personally, I interpret it exactly as written, without qualifications, and the interpretation has been a mainstay of my ethical practice of witchcraft since I set foot on this path. Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, so that is the very first section of Chapter 2. That was the ethics of Wicca. So that's a good start for Chapter 2. And next we'll go into more in depth tomorrow on the next section is the Wiccan Rede. So we will be able to delve more in depth into the Wiccan Rede and also the Rule of 3. And we might even go ahead and tomorrow even delve into the third part of it, which is the Wiccan Code of Chivalry. So tomorrow we got 3 good parts coming up. I did want to at least make this one to give us our introduction into Chapter 2. And I definitely look forward to tomorrow night where we can really dive into Wiccan Rede. So, everybody, there we are for this evening. God is blessed. Blessed be. Have a fantastic night, and I will see you tomorrow.